you. Okay. I wrote it. Did you get your mother to the birthday? Yeah. One pound. That's right. 2 weeks
Sunday. It's a Sunday. So you actually have time soon. It's going to be saved and critical. Yeah. And they said they could. And then one
Testing. It's my pleasure to welcome you to one of the most significant events we've had in Moffat County since I became superintendent. Perhaps one of the most significant events in the history of Moffat County. We're gathered here tonight to honor 5 outstanding educators who have dedicated over 132 years to Moffat County through the schools. It's impossible to say how many lives these 5 individuals have shaped, but I would estimate that it would be in excess of 25,000. I believe we can truthfully say that these individuals have made a huge impact on this community, a significant impact on the state, and perhaps even an impact on the nation. Our efforts to recognize these people tonight pale in the light of the number of contributions that they've made, but we're going to try. To begin, I've asked Jim Fate to lead us in prayer. Jim?
Let us bow our head. Our graciously Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this opportunity we have to honor these individuals this evening. We give you thanks, O Lord, for the lives that they have touched. We know, God, as they reflect back over their careers, they will realize the number of young people they have been influenced, that influence these young people. We know that they have molded their lives and made it possible for these young people to be a success in our society. We pray, oh God, that each one of us that worked with the young people, whether we're staff members, administrators, teachers, parents, board members, oh Lord, that we will be ever mindful of our responsibility and rededicate our lives to mold these young people. We pray as these individuals make the transition into a new phase of their life, oh Father, that you'll be with them, guide them, and direct them. We know that there'll be many more opportunities, new challenges that they will take as they go out of education and into a new endeavor. And we realize, oh Lord, that we're never out of education. It's a continuing process. And we just pray that we have had an opportunity to know these individuals, to work with these individuals throughout the years. Oh Lord, just be with us this evening. Make this a special occasion in their life, oh God, that they will always remember. Also, oh Lord, we ask you to bless the food, bless the hands of God that prepared this food. In the name of Jesus Christ we do pray. Amen.
Now I think we're ready to eat, and I'm not sure how, I think we'll let the head table go first, and then you guys can go any way you want. Now the head table will go first, and then just go as you see fit. Take your plate with you, and then they'll have all the good food over there. So head table, go ahead.
Holy mackerel.
Right in and watch this video. Walk it over there.
Like the company?
I will be able to probably pick my.
Oh, that's all right. Right into Roman, probably 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Australia is very fascinating. I would love to. I mean, not live there. Visit.
Rose Street.
Go see them.
Lost this
Came a long way, didn't it?
During the summer, what's nice about this green
He's been great with me.
the old trees are coming along, aren't they? Yeah. They look nice.
Probably is very hot. Very hot.
They're discussing it like when they changed it, they pointed out what it was and moved it on, you know?
Just by the time you figure out what it was.
Because the satellite actually by far is very nice.
I'm sure they really had to stay those to have freedom, you know.
That's my idea of Christmas.
I don't care if I ever see another snowflake.
We have dessert over here, and so if you'll take your dishes, but hang on to your fork, and back to the dishwashing area, and then they've got lots of cake over there. Whenever you're ready.
Excuse me.
Okay, if you have your last cup of coffee and your dessert, we'll get started on the main part of the meeting, the event. And before we do that, what I'd like to do is thank a few people. First of all, I'd like to thank the lunchroom staff, Phyllis Wiesner, Lee Cotton, Bona Wilczek, Karma Wilbanks, and Linda Riley for the effort that they made in putting together this excellent dinner. So, Dave went back to get them, but if I know cooks, it'll be hard getting them out here to take the honors that they deserve. Also, I'd like to I'd like to give thanks to some other members of our staff and who did such a fine job of decorating the tables today. Shirley Snare, Terry Estes, Julie Hannah Brown, and my wife Dorothy. I'd like to give them a good round of applause. And I'd like to also thank anyone else. Well, to make a couple special thank yous. One to Dwight Severson for using the computer to print out those beautiful signs on the walls that I assume the retirees will be taking home with them. And to all the other staff members in our office at the school who made this event possible. There's been an awful lot of work done by a lot of people, and we appreciate that. There are many, many guests here who ought to be introduced. And so I'm going to use the privilege of having the microphone and just introduce two. We have a special meeting to me. I'd like to have Les Turner, who is representing Case, stand. His right bell is here also. And the other person that I'd like to have stand is Ray Merrick. The reason I do that is because I can remember not too long ago when Ray and Les and I were causing all the troubles in the district, and now there are others of us causing all the troubles. Now for the program. I'd like to present Dwight Severson, who will make the first presentation. Dwight?
Thank you, Dr. Grove. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to let you know about this special person I'm going to introduce to you. I will share with you some of the life of this lady. I propose to bring you back to the late 20s in Rifle, Colorado, where Lornie Sanborn was born in 1928. She had 2 brothers, and during the Depression era that arose, their father moved their family to a farm in the San Luis Valley when Lornie was 4 years old. Her father bought and sold livestock for a packing plant, I should say. Lornie went to school in a 2-room schoolhouse where grades 1 and 4 were in one room and 5 through 8 were in another. School buses? Not over there. Lornie walked 3.5 miles each way to school. And believe it, it's true. Oh, well, on really bad days, the family called the Hersinks would pick the kids up on the way to school in their car, but that was only when there was bad weather. Now that was a treat. In the 3rd grade, the family moved to Alamosa. Now this wasn't just an ordinary move, because it was on Halloween night. The 2-story house that they moved into had not been lived in for a while, and the electricity was not on when they moved in. So the neighbors were looking at all these candle lights and lanterns moving around in this house. After all, it was Halloween. They knew that place had to be haunted. Yes, it was. It was haunted by the Sanborn family. Lornie's parents had scrimped and saved enough money to finally buy a ranch 3.5 miles out of Carbondale. The family moved there when she was a junior, and she attended what was then Carbondale Union High School, which is now called Roaring Fork, for most of you that are familiar with the area. Her education there had a great influence on her in the form of a teacher who was also half-time principal. His name was Harold Swenson. We Norwegians really get in there, don't we? As a senior, along with 12 other students, Lornie received a lot of positive encouragement from Mr. Swenson. He insisted that she go to college, and he was of great help in getting a scholarship to go to Colorado State College of Education in Greeley, which is now called UNC. She attended CSCE from 1946 to 1950. Upon graduation, she began to teach home economics at Moffat County High School. Lornie has made it full circle as she's now teaching in the very same room that she started teaching in 1950. Since the cost of living in this area was high due to the oil and energy related boom that started, the Teachers Association placed heavy pressure on the school board, and the teachers received a $200 raise in January of 1951. They needed that raise since, for example, apartment rent was $75 a month already. On February 14th of 1951, after her roommate had stood him up, Gaylord Fleece asked Lornie on their first date. He was the manager of the Hested store here in Craig. He must have had great management skills, as he managed to marry her 4 months later on May 19th, 1951. No, it was really that Gay had been transferred to Denver, and I feel Lornie didn't want to let him slip away from her. Since school was not out yet, the school district docked Lornie 1/36 of her pay because she and her husband were going to go on that honeymoon to the West Coast, whether the school was out or not. While living in Denver, their first son, Warren, was born on May of 1952. September of 52, they moved back to Craig. 3 more children were born to them, Larry in January of 54, Lyra in August of 57, and Kenny in December of 59. Even though she was not working for the school district as a teacher, she was teaching children in other ways, like working with the 4-H program, or teaching swimming with the Red Cross Water Safety Program. If raising 4 children wasn't enough, Lornie started a drapery, upholstery, and slipcover business in 1962. Can you imagine a home with 4 children, a busy husband, and a business too? Lornie handled it all in stride, though. And then in the fall of '69, she took on another responsibility. She accepted an offer to teach home economics at CJHS, which is now CMS. Salaries had improved. The base was $6,000 with an additional $108 for her year of teaching experience from 1950 to 51. Lornie had been teaching home economics since, along with being a major influence in developing, since then, and has been a major influence in developing our computer education classes at Craig Middle School. For 6 years, she has taught a combination of home ec and computer classes. To show her dedication to being on top of education, Lornie even endured co-ed dorms at UNC in 1985 to get more coursework in computers. Or was that enjoyed co-ed dorms? Upon retiring, this lady, my friend, we have been accused of being in cahoots over curriculum and equipment for the computer courses for years. This professional educator will give up reluctantly her classroom for some well-deserved travel and relaxation with her husband to see family, grandchildren, and friends. I will miss personally her daily counsel, insights, and professional guidance in education. But I know she will come back from her travels to share, as she always does, the highlights of her well-deserved retirement. I present to you my friend Lornie, please.
I'd written a long speech to take up some time, but I think I'll make it pretty short. Lornie, on behalf of the board and the administration, we present to you a plaque. It says for 21 years of outstanding service to the children of Moffat County. So I don't drop it, I'll leave it in there.
Appreciation to all of you for being here tonight. It really means a great deal to me. And thanks to the school district for these gifts as we retire. I know I'm going to miss all of you a great deal, but we're not going far, just part of the time during the winter in the motorhome. And we're still going to be around here, so I'm sure I'll see all of you a lot. Thanks again.
Thank you, Lornie. Susan Nutzinger will be our next presenter. Susan?
Also this evening, we are celebrating the retirement of Marge Francil. Marge began her career as a first-grade teacher at Sunset Elementary School. After 2 years there, she became the librarian at what was then the Craig Junior High School. The school has since become Craig Middle School, and Marge has continued as the librarian. As Marge retires at the end of this school year, she will end a 25-year career with the Moffat County School District. We would like Marge to know that her years of service to our school district are very much appreciated. She has remodeled and organized the libraries in both the east and west campuses of the middle school so that they are not only functional but also aesthetically appealing. Both libraries have become media centers, and under her direction, they have enhanced every aspect of education in the middle school. Marge has created within the libraries an atmosphere that is relaxed and pleasant so that both learning and enjoyment are conducive with the library materials that she has. As we remember Marge as a librarian, I think we will all recall Marge's inability to say no. She was always willing to help a student or a staff member. If you were looking for something special and were having difficulty finding it, her response would always be something like this: "Let me look a little further, and if I can't find it here, I'll find out where we can get it." And she usually did. She gave us her time freely and willingly and always with a smile. Marge has that special quality of having determination and drive combined with the ability to get along with people. She oversees the operation of 2 effective and efficient libraries at Craig Middle School, yet she never steps on anyone's toes as she achieves excellence in those libraries. Marge, you will be missed by the students and by your colleagues, but as you retire, be proud, be happy, and fulfilled by the 25 years of dedicated service you have given to the people of Moffat County. Best wishes, Marge, for a very happy retirement.
Marge, again, on behalf of the Board of Education and the administrators, here's your plaque for 25 years of outstanding service to the children of Moffat County, and something to keep track of your time. Thank you very much.
I just want to say that it's been a real honor and a privilege to have taught in Moffat County schools for 25 years. We really do have the best schools here.
Our next presenter is Elaine Henderson. Elaine? The way we've got this set up here, you could get tangled up in the cords occasionally, but bear with us if we do that.
It's my pleasure to be here tonight and talk to you about Ed James. Ed and I have worked next door to each other for 11 years, and I was real happy to get the invitation to come up here and talk, but my problem was which stories am I going to tell and which ones had I better not. But to start with, though, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Ed's background. Ed is a Colorado native, and while he was in college, he made an inappropriate remark to his father and somehow ended up joining the Army. And he got really good duty. He told us the other day in my classes that he got the best duty that he could get at 6th Army headquarters in California. And he made an inappropriate remark to his commanding officer and ended up in Korea. He did pretty good there, except he was driving a truck full of high explosives. And I don't know, I guess I'll let you guess how he got that duty. But he got shot, his truck was shot out from under him by North Koreans. Thank God he only got his leg broken, and he got sent to Tokyo and got to recuperate there. And while he was there, he even took some classes at the university in Tokyo, which he said was very interesting. He thought maybe he'd get to go home. I don't know what happened, but he ended up 14 months in Korea in the peacekeeping forces there. But I'm real thankful that he did spend that time there, because he's been a source of information to me that's just been invaluable. I'll be stuck on something and I'll say, kids, just a second, I'm going next door. And Ed always had the answers for me, and I really appreciate that. When he came back to Colorado, he went to school at Gunnison and got his degree in '55. And then he started teaching. His first year in Grand Junction, he taught 7th and 8th grade English. I don't know about your first year of teaching, those of you who are teachers here. I had a tough one, and Ed did too. And he decided that perhaps he wasn't meant to teach. So he took off 3 years and was a claims adjuster. And then he got an opportunity to go back to teaching, this time in Artesia, which most of us who are not natives of this area know better as Dinosaur. And he was head teacher there 3 years. And then he got a big chance to come in here to Craig, and he taught in the 6th grade in a self-contained classroom. And it was while he was at Breeze School, teaching in that self-contained classroom, that he also served as a volunteer, and I bet this will be news to a lot of you, boys basketball sponsor. He was a coach for 3 years, and it was a volunteer position. And then when it became a paying position, he decided it was time to quit being a coach. So he didn't do that anymore. From Breeze, he moved up or down, depending upon your point of view, to the junior high. And at the junior high, he has taught nearly everything. He has taught social studies, of course, math, English, and reading. He started a remedial and developmental reading class, and he has served on curriculum development and textbook selection committees. He also set up an individualized study program for his classes, which has worked real well. In 1968, after attending summer school several summers, Ed received his MA in Administration and Elementary Education from Western State College. Since then, he's taken a variety of courses from many schools here in Colorado. One of the things that has impressed me about Ed in the 12 years that I've known him is his devotion to his family. Faith James is a lucky woman. And I say that because Ed is a devoted, patient, and loving husband. I have never heard him say one negative word about her or any of his family. And he does have 3 children. Luann, who is 29, lives and works in Grand Junction. Andrew is 27, and he's married and living and going to school in Vegas. Jonathan is 22, and he has a job that some of us might envy. He's an auditor and a computer specialist at the Lady Luck in Las Vegas. And as most of you know who know Jonathan, he's also an accomplished musician. Very good. Ed also is an active member of the Baptist Church. He's been an elder. I better clarify which Baptist for all of you who know that I'm from Calvary Baptist. He's from First Baptist. But we've had some really good discussions. Really good discussions. Whenever I've had an argument, or not an argument, excuse me, whenever I've had a question about where something was to be found in the Bible, or we had a philosophical discussion, I have to admit that part of the time he was right. And he always was willing to help me find what I was looking for. Another thing that's very important about Ed and all the years that he's taught is the fact that he sincerely cares about his students. I've seen it over and over again. He often works with the counselors to try to get more help or to get some sort of specialized attention for one of his students who is having a problem. And I think that is one of his greatest attributes, that he really cares, and he tries to spend time with them to help them succeed. Ed also is an accomplished painter. I don't know if very many of you got the opportunity to come to our library on the West Campus a week or so ago. Ed, at the insistence of Faith, and I thank you for doing that, insisted that he bring some of his paintings down for all of us to share, to look at, and enjoy. And I'm still negotiating for one, but doggone it, Nancy got there first. So, but I'm still looking. There's another one, and they're quite good, quite good. Over the years, Ed has really delighted people at our building with his cooking ability. In fact, he brings some of the best lunches. He used to bring some of the best lunches to school. In fact, his lunches were so good that one year they kept disappearing. He would go in to get his 3-course meal. We were all so jealous. And the sandwich would be gone. And this went on and on several days. And finally, while they were sitting in there, and I'm sure he was saying some nice words, he heard this commotion in one of the cabinets in the lunchroom where we ate. We ate in one of the classrooms, turned into a lunchroom. Stalked over, opened the door, and there was a student there eating his sandwich. Now, I'm not real sure what happened to the student, but I didn't see him for a while. I'm not sure. I don't think Ed ever missed any more sandwiches after that. He makes excellent cinnamon rolls. I can attest to that. But Ed, I'm sorry, you've still got a ways to make them as good as my mama does. He and I also have something else in common, and that's our love of chocolate. And now Ed's going to be spending some time in Vegas, and there's a special place there that makes special chocolates that he's brought me a few of, have different flavors to them, and he has already taken some orders to bring me some back. Ed loves to fish, and he loves to tie flies, and I know something about living with someone who likes to do those things. He hopes to spend some of his retirement on all of these hobbies. He and Faith will probably split their time between Junction and Vegas. I know that all of you will join me in wishing them many, many happy years together. Ed's a good man, and I will miss him and the very special friendship and relationship that we've had these years. Ed, God bless you.
I won't tell any stories. For 26 years of outstanding service to the children of Moffat County. Thanks, Ed.
I thought he was going to tell about the time that I came to parent-teachers conferences, and I looked down and I had one black shoe on, one brown shoe on. Duke asked me if I had another pair at home just like it. After that glowing speech by Elaine, I'm on practically speeches, which is very unusual for me. I usually have some comment. All I can say is thank you.
Our next presenter is a team of presenters, Don Riley and Harold Francil.
Roger, as you well know, in years past, retirees have been honored with what's affectionately become known as a retirement roast. As much as I'd like to do that tonight, in the short time that I have, I'm going to pass, but beware, there's still an opportunity, and for sure I wouldn't want you to feel in any way neglected. 25 years ago, when Marge and I came to Craig, Roger Little was one of the very first people that I met. And I remember when we introduced ourselves and shook hands, that a very special friendship blossomed at that time. And it has grown and grown over the years. And shortly after that, we began a professional relationship that has also grown. It has become very positive and very solid. And those two things I'll cherish forever. Roger Little has spent 33 years in this district, educating our youth. Up to this point, that's the major part of his adult life. And in those 33 years, I know that he has touched the lives of thousands of children. Roger Little is not only a teacher of students, he's a teacher of teachers. I don't think there's a person in this room that would not admit that through their association with Roger, through their working with him and for him, that they have not become better teachers and in fact better people. His accomplishments over the years are innumerable. Almost on a day-to-day basis, Mr. Little does something that's good for the youth of this community in education. If you've ever been in his office, you'll see his walls adorned with all kinds of plaques and certificates of recognition for the good things that he has done, not only in this community, but in the state and in the nation. We are talking about a man who's done all these things, and in the short time that I have, there's no way I could talk about all of these accomplishments. I think it would probably take a lot longer than any of us would really care to stay. But I would like to talk about one, just for a minute, one specifically, that I think was probably his greatest accomplishment and probably, without a doubt, his greatest challenge. Back in 1980, when we restructured the schools here in the county, we started Craig Middle School as it is today. 4 grades in 2 buildings on 1 campus. And I know that not only Roger, but many of us were very apprehensive about how this was going to work. Well, it has worked. It has worked because of well-laid plans, organization, and most of all, leadership. The leadership came not only from central administration, it came through a great faculty that was built for that middle school concept, and all the supporting staff that's there, and our middle school is second to none. He certainly deserves the credit for it because of his leadership. At this time, I would like to, Roger, extend to you my personal best wishes for your retirement, and also to your lovely wife, Luann, your father, your children. You'll be leaving us in a few weeks as an employee of the district. You're going to be missed. And you'll be leaving Craig to go down to Grand Junction to your new retirement home. We're going to miss you a lot. We hope you'll keep in touch. When you leave, you'll be leaving something with us that won't be taken away. You're going to leave your mark on the educational community here in Craig for a long, long, long time to come. And because of that, and because of your numerous accomplishments and the good that you've done for this district And for the children of this community, you should be very, very proud. Thank you.
Roger Little, this is not your life. When we were here not too long ago honoring Ray, Merrick, Curly, it's Wavy Merrick, told me tonight that he was in a restaurant and the girl asked if he had a hairpiece on, and he said, "Would I buy a hairpiece with a hole on top?" You look good, Ray. Told him I thought I saw him on an episode of Miami Vice, on one of those big boats. I want to talk to you a little later, Ray. When we were here honoring Ray with his roast, I began planning Roger's retirement roast. Roger did such a nice job with Ray, had all the props, and I've been collecting things. And then Dr. Grove told me, "No, Don, we're not going to do a roast, so if anyone would like to buy a telephone collection," some of us understand that. I have everything. I have cellular phones, I have a gold-plated phone, I have a headset phone. We didn't want you to get lonesome, Roger, when you were gone. Before we continue here, we're going to have sort of a break here, an intermission. I'm going to introduce a longtime friend and longtime colleague from our neighboring district in Steamboat Springs. If he would come forward at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Bud Root. He's the principal of Steamboat Springs Junior High School. Truly a good friend of ours, and I know a friend of Roger, and he too, Roger's been planning for several years. Now, I don't know why he was in such a hurry. He was supposed to have camaraderie, and he kept rushing things. I couldn't understand it. But I don't think he understood this wasn't supposed to be a roast, so get ready here. Here's Mr. Root. Bud?
Thank you, Don, very much. And I would like to congratulate all of the retirees here tonight, because I have the distinct honor of running for the PERA board 7 times and never have been elected. But I do know a few people down there at 1300 Logan in Denver, and if you have a problem getting your check, you let me know and I'll make a phone call or two for you. Like Don says, I have been looking forward to this because Roger was very quiet about when this was all going to come about. And up in Steamboat, you know Bob Harris, the fellow I work with. Bob is quite a colorful guy, and we wanted to do something very special for Roger, having known him for all these years. Well, we don't have quite the budget in Steamboat that you may have here in Moffat County. I wish you'd talk to our superintendent about that. And so we went out to the trash dumpster in back of the school and to see what we could find for this occasion that would be appropriate for Roger. Well, I first met Roger in 1961. He was up to Steamboat, and this wasn't in the little program, but he also used to be a basketball official. And in those days, as a beginning teacher, when you're asked to do something by the athletic director, Don Roddy does the same thing here. They go to first-year teachers and ask them to sell tickets or keep the book, run the clock, and you don't know how to say no yet, so you do it. I was keeping the books at a basketball game, and I said to the fellow next to me, who was running the clock, I said, "Who's this F. Roger Little?" And he pointed him out to me out on the court. Well, about halfway through that first quarter, a team took a timeout, and Roger came over in front of the bench. And I said, "Hi, Roger, how are you?" And he was almost, really out of breath at that point. And I said, "How are things going out there?" And these were the first words I heard from Roger Little. Quote, "We've got to clean things up a bit." Unquote. Several years later, I was walking into the Craig Middle School for a principal's meeting, and I walked into the lobby. Here was Roger Little. He had 2 trash bags in his hands, And I said, Roger, what are you doing? And he says, I'm going to have some students, quote, clean things up a bit, unquote. Okay. Then several years later, we were down here for a track meet, which Don Riley and company put on, and they do a remarkable job with it. We always enjoy coming down to that track meet. The main reason is you don't have as much snow here as we have in Steamboat. But coming into that track meet, I walked out on the field, and I was looking for my colleague, Roger Little. I saw Don Riley. He had on his, MC baseball cap and walking around like a general and all this kind of stuff. And I said, where is Roger? And Don said, well, he's up in the announcer's stand. And I said, well, what's he doing up there? He said, well, we put him up there so he won't screw things up down here on the field. And I said, I understand. Being a principal, I understood that. So I went up there and was visiting with Roger. And as the day went on, Roger got on the microphone to say a few things to the kids. And he said, now kids, we've got some litter out there. I want you to, quote, clean things up a bit, unquote. Well, Roger, those words, you may not remember, but seriously, I think they give a little bit of Roger's philosophy. If things weren't exactly right in the school or with the curriculum, he always wanted to clean things up a bit. And I have remembered that, and I've carried it with me all these years. Make things better. Leave it a little better. Clean things up a bit. Well, with that, Roger, Roger, that's your official let's clean things up a bit trash bag. And while you're out there golfing or whatever you're doing, being a... I thought this might look a little better, once in a while, instead of one that says MC on it or something. You're not going to put it in the trash bag. Is that where you're going? In Steamboat, we have people that struggle to be writers and authors. And one book that was written by John Rolfe Burroughs is entitled Head First in the Pickle Barrel. And it talks a little bit about the athletic competition between Steamboat Springs and Craig. In this particular story, they talk about the schoolhouse that was built in 1911 in Steamboat that's long since been torn down and this type of thing. But when they built this school, they had, of all things, indoor plumbing. Now for us in Steamboat, that was a big deal. And in those days, when they built this school, in the basement, they had these nice new restrooms, and they had the old type of toilets that had the tank up above and had a long chain with a handle. Chuck, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it says this in this story, and I wanted to share a couple of paragraphs with you because we've had a lot of fun with the athletic contests over the years, back when Doug Bale was coaching and Joe Janicek, and I had a lot of fun with those guys over the years. But they talked about a modern heating system and inside plumbing. A big boiler in the basement provided steam for many accordion-plated radiators. And the restrooms, which also were located in the basement, contained 6 neatly white porcelain stools, complete with hinge seats, seat covers, and overhead pull chains, the likes of which only a privileged few of us had ever seen before. Speaking of pull chains, puts me in mind of Craig, Colorado, situated on the Yampa River, some 40 miles downstream from Steamboat Springs, which was our deadly rival in all school activities of a competitive nature. Lacking other sources of supply, the town of Craig necessarily derives its water from the Yampa River, into which Steamboat Springs already has discharged raw sewage. Hence, it was inevitable that during such contests as football and basketball games between Steamboat Springs and Craig teams, the Steamboat cheering section intermittently came forth with a hearty, "Somebody pull the chain, Craig needs a drink." Well, Roger, in all those games, here's something a little special to help you remember of all those athletic contests. Now, due to the fact, like I was talking about our budget, when Bob and I were out going through that dumpster, we found an old picture frame with a poem in it. And Bob and I signed the back of this because I know when your wife hangs it in the living room, she'll probably want to put this side up. But I wanted to read to you this poem and what it says. F. Roger Little, Craig Middle School, Craig, Colorado, 1954 to 1989. As a principal, you had a rare and very special blend of wit and wisdom, quiet strength, and patience without end. A listening ear, a helping hand, a gift for guidance too. This comes from the heart. You have been appreciated. It's true. Best wishes for a fulfilled retirement to a very special principal, and that's for you.
Bud, thank you. Roger, we hope that this evening together can serve to reflect on and to recognize your 33 years of service to the students of Moffat County and to our school district. In your 33 years, you, like Ray, have worn several hats. Bus driver, coach, teacher, and for the last 23 years, the hat of principal. And because of your caring for your staff, your relentless dedication, by your example, CMS has become an outstanding, a model school. Roger, you're going to be remembered as a man who enjoyed his work, enjoyed helping young people grow and progress in the school setting, as a man who truly cared, and as a man who made a difference. Going to retire. It's not in your blood. Anyone that looks at AJ can tell that. We wish you the best in your endeavors for the future. Good luck, good health. We'll miss you.
I think you're probably the last one that taught the last survivor that taught Kurt. I guess we're close to the same grade class. Mr. Little, for 33 years of outstanding service to the children of Moffat County. Thank you. Inside there it says, for 33 years of outstanding service to the Moffat County Schools. Thanks.
Well, after all that, folks, it's going to be pretty difficult to say anything, but all of you know me better. Harold, I've never heard such a touching presentation. Thank you so much, my friend. And Don, your presentation, as was Harold's, was from the heart. I've never enjoyed working with two finer people, finer friends. And thank you for your remarks. They meant so much, and they do. So I need to express some gratefulness, if I could. at this time, very, very short. I want to speak to you about gratefulness for two periods. First of all, when I began. If all of you who are such good teachers and good professionals in this school district could have seen me as a fledgling teacher in 1954 and seen some of the things that I did and didn't do, you would wonder, what am I doing here tonight? So I'm grateful for my principal then, and for the two school boards then, who put up with me for the first couple of years and let me make those mistakes and grow from them. The second period I'm grateful for is early in 1964, when the district allowed me to begin my administrative career here. Frequently, I think back to 1964, 65, 66, and I crawl into a fetal position because of all the mistakes I made. But I'm grateful, too, for the district that allowed me to get through that and to grow. I'm grateful for a supportive school district, the community, and the board. I was reminiscing the other night with some folks about the number of board members that I've had the opportunity to work with, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of parents that I grew to know and to enjoy and to listen to. I'm grateful for an understanding and supportive central administrative staff that through the years have been so kind to me and have helped me grow as a professional. I'm grateful to a group of very, very outstanding administrators in this district that I've had the undisputable pleasure of meeting with every other Wednesday morning for some challenging discussions. I mean that sincerely, guys and ladies. Those meetings have been outstanding. I'm grateful for two outstanding co-administrators who have put up with many, many decisions that, as they will tell you, have been shared with them. And that's an internal joke. But I'm grateful to Don and Harold because they helped me make those decisions, and they were forever loyal in implementing them fully. I'm grateful for a loving wife and family who understand at the end of so many days that a person who came home to them in the afternoon needed to stop talking for a while. And I'm sorry that I stopped listening too. Well, I'm grateful too for a dad and a mom, and I wish she could be here tonight, who taught patiently and firmly what direction to take, but more importantly, why. And I'm grateful to my three kids, all of whom were born and raised in Craig and graduated from Moffat County High School, who are an eternal source of pride to their mother and I. And I'm happy that two of them could be here tonight. My dad sitting there has just turned 86. And we're so pleased that he could be with us tonight. And I appreciate your allowing me to bring his presence to your attention. Well, most of all, I appreciate and I'm grateful for for all of the super students who have come through this school district over the past 35 years, who have made it all worthwhile, every minute. Well, an interesting note. In the fall of 1987, we had a meeting of all the teachers upstairs in the auditorium, and I have wondered to this day why Dr. Grove introduced me as the certified member of this district who has had the longest term of service. I didn't know whether it was a signal of things to come. I didn't know whether it was a hidden message, and that I should begin to plan. And one day later in his office, I said, how did you know that I have the longest years of service in this district? And he went to his Macintosh. Now I want you to know he has some interesting information on that Macintosh. And he punched up the right information, and sure enough, there it was. Yours truly, longest years of service. Well, playfully, I said to him today, Chuck, I'm going. Who's number 2? And it's Nina Lawton. Nina, there may be a message here. And while I had him on a roll and we had the Macintosh producing, I said, Chuck, who's number 3? And he said, your friend and mine, Carl Rohnke. Well, I said, let's go one more roll of the dice. I said, who's number 4? And he said, Doug Dale's next. You folks have been so kind to me and my family. Moffat County has been good to us, and we loved every minute of it, and we love you dearly. Thank you.
Roger, you're not finished yet. Joe Tonzo has a presentation to make at this time.
We're all aware that Roger has touched a lot of the children of Moffat County, made things a lot better and a better place for them, but a lot of us sitting here in this room possibly forget that he's touched our pocketbooks. Not in the way possibly you're thinking, but probably 95% of the people sitting in this room belong to Moffat County Schools Federal Credit Union. And I don't know how many people in the room are aware of it, but Roger was one of the first people participating in the organization of Moffat County Schools Federal Credit Union. He was our first president and gave up that role after 7 months to become our first treasurer and held that duty for a while. And because of that, well, on top of everything else, Roger is account number 10. If you need some money, why just tell Betty you want to take out account number 10. No. But Roger did do a great service for us, and we want to thank Roger. And Roger, we have for you tonight of 3 things. One thing is the minutes of the organization meeting, of which you have your signature upon for the actual beginning of Moffat County Schools Federal Credit Union. And secondly, we have the first meeting of the Board of Directors where F. Roger Little was elected president of Moffat County Schools Federal Credit Union. And then we have one other gift at your pleasure.
Thank you, Joe. The next presenter has already been presented by F. Roger Little, and that's the person second on the list, and Nina, there are no hidden messages. And Roger, there were none when I meant to make the next presentation. Nina?
I met Carl out in the hall a while ago, and he said, Nina, you get to talk tonight. 2 words. So if I get 2 words, well done. I met Carl. I really am privileged to be the one up here talking tonight. And, you know, my mother always said, pride goes before the fall, because Dave asked me if I'd do it. And then he said, you know, you've been around longer than anybody. And I knew my age would pay off. I met Carl years ago, and I thought he was a teacher when I met him. Maybe I was a teacher, maybe I was a substitute, but I had taught in Oak Creek, and I had already got my ideal of a teacher. And my ideal was this lady, Mrs. Karakopoulos, and she must have been about 50, and she was maybe 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighed about 250 pounds. And But what I liked about her was that when she got with her kids at recess, and over there, teachers were with their class at recess, and we ate with our children, and we had noon duty. We had a 10-minute break in the day. But anyway, when she was with her kids, she was so active and energetic, and she told me, always play with your kids. And she just couldn't, but boy, she put forth the energy. And her kids loved her, and she had a way of just making them enthusiastic about everything. And when I came to Craigsville, I found out we don't do it that way here. You know, when you're on duty, you're on duty. You don't play games with the kids. You want their respect, and you want them to know that, boy, you're the teacher, and when they go indoors, they have to mind you. But I'm stubborn, and she still was my ideal. And then I met Carl, and the first memory I have of him was that I was out playing with the kids, and we were playing jump rope, and I was turning the rope, and he came out and took hold of the other end of the rope, and he was on my ball team from that day on. I knew that man could inspire the kids if he could get out there and play like that. And so as a fellow teacher and this younger man from Kansas, I thought he was okay. And then our paths separated, and he went to another school. Then I heard he was coming back to be our principal, and I had a few qualms about this. I thought, oh dear. I remember him as this fellow teacher, you know, and how will I act now that he's going to be my principal? And I had heard all kinds of reasons why he was coming back as a principal, and well, some people said it's because of his wife. You know, there's a good woman behind every man. Anyway, when he came back in the first teachers meeting, he really settled all my qualms. I found out this young Kansas farmer had grown up to be a very professional principal, and he knew how to handle teachers' meetings, and I was very well impressed. And from then on, he was my principal, and he never let me down. And I could go on about all the curriculum committees and how he's tried to get us to be better instructors and everything. Especially one committee that he worked very hard on was, the climate committee. Now, I come from a very strict background, you know. I could be, I wasn't a Jehovah's Witness, but I was a Quaker. My family, at least my father was. So we had a tendency to be me people. You know, it was my way. It was my class, it was my room, it was my school, it was my principal. I was a very me person. Carl worked with me how many years trying to get me to realize, hey, there are other people in the world, and you've got to be aware of them, and how that they have personalities, they have goals too. And he did this in different ways. One way I remember was I had this little girl who was having a problem of being friends with everybody. She just didn't get along with her. Nobody liked her, you know. And he looked me right in the eye and he said, she must do something wrong. And I said, he's not talking about that little girl, he's talking about me. Another time, I don't know what I said to some teacher. I said something to her as we met in the hall, and Carl said immediately, and I'll never forget, he said, well, you know, Nina isn't known for her tact. Oh dear, I better look into this a little bit and see what I'm doing wrong here. You know, he wrote the most beautiful teacher evaluations at the end of the year. Oh, that's at that time of the year, you know, and you wonder, have I really taught these kids anything? Should I retire this year, or do I have the energy to go on? And he gives you this evaluation, and oh my, it's like roses. And you think, oh, I'd give anything if I could live up to that. But then he meets, you know, and he comes in, and he has the Iowa basic scores in his hands, and this is a long time ago, and he said, what in the world have you been teaching in here this year? This year, these kids haven't moved anywhere. And I looked at the math scores, and they hadn't. But you see, the goal was that you get the kids to learn the lesson 80% before you move on. I can never get 80% of them to learn to add. How could I go to subtraction or multiplication or division? Well, I found out you got to move at least some of them. I could go on and on and on and sing praises for Carl, and I think there are 36 other staff members over at Sunset who would do it too. But I thought I would tell some memories that I think I'll always have of Carl, and of course, the jump rope I'll never forget. And I always like to see him when he greets the children. He's often out in the hall, and as the little kids go by to music or they go by to PE, he's always got, you know, they always have this for the kitty each other hand, you know, and the kids just love him. And if some of the little kids from LD or from Slick or something are going up and down the hall, he's always asking them questions that are very personal, and they just respond to him terrifically. So I know that first impression I got of him was well worthwhile. I have always told him, and I've had my kids tell him too, that he's the wisest man at Sunset. And then of course that was easy when we only had one man teacher. But then we'd say, well, I think you're probably the wisest man in the whole school system, maybe in all of Craig. And then I promised him I'd tell him how I know how he's wise, and so I'll do that tonight. We have a little story, a listening skill builder story about this little Chinese boy. The little Chinese boy's father is the wisest man in the Chinese village. And the reason they know he's the wisest man is because he has the longest eyebrows. So over the years, we've been telling Carl he's the wisest man. He never knew why we always But then I take off my eyeglasses and fluff up my own, and I tell him that I'm the second wisest person. And what Carl can't think to do to you, I will. I will always remember somebody who cared a great, great deal about people, whether they were adults or children. And maybe sometimes he cared too much. And he came in with all these wonderful ideas for us teachers at some of our meetings, and he would present these ideas, and he'd get dead silence. Or maybe he'd just get disagreement. And as the years went by, you know, and we women came in, and we were no longer the sheep who followed the master. We had minds of our own. He got more and more opposition. But he learned how to deal with us and be very democratic. And he certainly held the ship on course. I'm going to remember apple pancakes, homemade. Oh, delicious. I'm going to remember homemade ice cream socials. I'm going to remember those spreads Kathy put on. I told you about I'm always going to remember my evaluations. I'm going to live up to those. I can remember Carl working and working on the lawns and planting shrubs and doing all these things around the schoolyard. I remember one year, it seemed like every time I went to church or any time I went by the school, he was out there watering the grounds, and watering the grounds. And he learned a lesson. This life is change. The next year they dug it all up and put in that automatic watering system. Well, Carl, it's supposed to be short, and it is, but we all honor you, and we all respect you. So why the heck you leaving?
For 300 years of outstanding That's all it says. Congratulations, thank you. It says the same thing in there.
That thing wakes me up in the middle of the night. Somebody gonna get some phone calls. Nina, remember you've got 3 more weeks of school left. I had a lot of things I was going to say, and I can't ever speak at these things, so I looked at the dictionary to find out what retirement was. There's five meanings, at least in my primary dictionary. One is to withdraw from action or danger. 2, to withdraw especially for privacy. 3, to fall back or recede. 4, to withdraw from one's position or occupation. And 5, to go to bed. And I'm going to do all 5. There's this, in my bulletins that I get from, first I want to talk about Les Turner. Les was the principal that, he didn't hire me. Probably he was one that did the hiring at the time. I wouldn't be here today. But he was my first principal, and I'll bet he didn't believe I'd still be here on this day. But I started out with him as a 6th grade teacher. I don't know whether he was avoiding me or whether he just thought he'd better leave me alone, but I was in one of those rooms in the brief school way up in the balcony there. And he just left me over here. So I just figured he didn't want to claim me at that time. But thanks to him, I made it, or he's one of them, thanks to a lot of board members. Like I started saying, in some of the journals that I get, there was a saying, I think, that described 3 kinds of principals. My staff already knows what they are. The first one is one who makes things happen. That's the principal who makes things happen. Number 2 is one who watches things happen. And number 3, who is one who wonders what happened. And I figured since I was getting close to number 3, I'd better quit. So thank you very much for this evening.
I want to take this opportunity to say good luck to all those people who are retiring today, and best wishes for the future. And I know that everyone in this room is going to miss you. I know that I'm going to miss you. And I appreciate all the work that you've done to make this school one of the best schools in the state. So congratulations for a new life that you're about to begin on. Congratulations.